And I called Raphael and I said, hey, I found out that you had this idea for a group. What is this? And he said, yeah, Ali and me and you and En Vogue and, you know, Tribe Called Quest and Toni. It just makes sense for us to come together and do this great idea. I was like, I am down. And yes, when do we start? Because I never wanted to leave En Vogue in the first place. Like I said, I didn't want to go solo. So it was better for me to be in a group situation. I felt protected. I had known Raphael since we were 16. So on my bad.
Bay Area as well. Yeah.
Bay Area, yeah, both of us. In fact, Denny and Tommy, Denzel Foster, Thomas McGora had the Tonys before they had En Vogue.
Yeah.
So I asked Raphael when I got in the group with him, I said, did Denny ever talk to you crazy, like tell you to shut the fuck up or go the fuck home? He's like, what? Oh, hell no. He's like, no, Denny never talked to us like that. The way that Denny talked to us in the studio was exactly that way. If he got pissed at us for something, he would tell us to shut the fuck up. Y'all go and again, I was like, okay, after a while, at first I was like, oh, Denny, don't say that. Oh, no. And we would leave. But after a while, I was like, okay, you guys, it's becoming a habit that Denny talks to us this way. So I know I'm going back talking about En Vogue again, but that was the mentality. When you said fear-based, or are you talking about how they were fearful of approaching the record company saying, this is wrong that we're kicking Dawn out of the group? The mentality that they had with allowing Denny to talk to us the way that he did is indicative of exactly their mindset. Yeah, you're right about that.
Pre-Me Too, because a lot of that was going on across the entertainment, across the world, and there was no voice. I mean, I think
not just in entertainment.
No, yeah, across the world, across in different areas, and I think
in people's homes.
If this had happened now, it's quite easy for if because now if this was brought up, people again losing their jobs for stuff they did 20, 30 years ago. But
yes.
Raphael talks to you about the group. Now you must have had a little bit more knowledge about labels and deals and stuff. What was the situation when he said, "Look, hey, Lucy Pearl"? Did you look at the contract and think, okay, I'm not going to get 2 cents a record and stuff?
I didn't do the right thing because, like I said, Raphael, I had known him literally since we were both 16 years old. So he played in my band in San Francisco. I knew him. I was comfortable with him. He was like my brother. And we had grown up together. So I didn't feel like he was going to step on me with that contract. I thought he was going to be fair and have my back. And he did not. So that was on me. I didn't read the contract. I read it, but I didn't redline it and go through it with a fine-tooth comb like I did the En Vogue contract. And I just signed it as it was, and it wasn't a good contract at all. And I didn't know that until after the fact. It was too late by then.
But twice, should have took his advice, left the man alone. You still drive back here every night, 'cause you're not up to time. Tell me if your mind was wrong, 'cause you had your chance, and you lost a good man. I know, it's sad, thinking about what you had. If you was wrong, keep that ass on my
So yeah, it was a totally different situation.
So was that sort of the reasons why the you did sort of a couple of singles and then after first that you decided to leave after the first album?
No, they kicked me out as well. Raphael didn't like the fact. No, so what? First of all, Lucy Pearl was I'm so tired. I'm trying to get the light right because the sun is going down. I apologize. Everybody's gonna be like, "Be still, be still." Cool. But Lucy Pearl from the very beginning was a one-off, and Raphael, you know, he just didn't like the fact that I was getting all the attention. And we were actually in London when the first time that I noticed his jealousy of me was in Vegas. We were here in Vegas, but I wasn't living here yet. And we were doing Sprite Night for the Billboard Awards, and so sorry. We were doing Sprite Night for the Billboard Awards. And I have to get near the plug so that this light stays on when the sun goes down. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
So we were doing the Sprite Night, and one of the journalists walked over to us to do an interview, and he stood between me and, so we were standing up against the wall waiting for, it's like all the tables have different countries and different parts of the country here in America as well. So you'll see Colorado over there, you'll see Cincinnati over there, you'll see Australia back there, you'll see, you know what I mean? It was all these different tables that you go to do interviews. And you sit down at the table and you do an interview. And so we were waiting for our next interview, and a guy named Lee Bailey walks over to us, and he's an older man. So he's got on his hat that he always wears and his glasses, and he takes out a dictaphone out of his pocket. He's got on like a jacket pocket, and he takes out a dictaphone, little recorder. And he steps in between. Ali was to my right and Raphael was to my left, and we were just standing there waiting. And Lee Bailey steps in between me and Raphael. What did he do that for? Raphael was like, "Excuse me, don't you fucking see I'm standing here?" And he walked away. And I was like, I looked at Ali and I was like, we're done. We're done. Because you don't want that kind of reputation out there that you curse somebody out for no reason. And Lee Bailey didn't even, luckily, he didn't think twice about it. He didn't think, oh, that was rude. He might have been thinking it was rude, but he didn't care. You know what I mean? He kept going with us, and he was like, well, everybody wants to talk to Dawn Robinson, En Vogue. And he did the little, he did our interview right there, standing there with the little dictaphone with me and Ali, because Raphael walked away. And then our first time in London, same thing. Raphael did not like the fact that everybody wanted to talk to me. He had a problem with that. He didn't like it at all. And one of the journalists, when we get overseas, we have to do a series of like all day interviews. You start from 8 a.m. in the morning. If you get a little time to eat breakfast, and then if you can eat a little lunch in between, but you're doing interview after interview after interview, because it's not like we're going to come overseas every other day, and you guys don't see us that often. So once we get there, whether it's Japan or London or wherever, Germany, they have a slew of, interviews for us to do. So we were doing probably our 12th interview, and Raphael was tired of everybody all the journalists asking about me, asking me questions more than anybody else. And so it was our 5th interview that day. And the woman said, so Dawn, she kept asking me questions. And Raphael sat up, he was sitting on the couch, but he was leaning back. And he sat up and he said, what the fuck? Don't you see we're sitting here too? Like Ali and I, because I was sitting in the middle it was Raphael on the right, on my left, and Raphael, Ali on my right. And he looked at Ali and he said, don't you see us sitting here? We've done shit in our careers as well. What the fuck? You're not talking to us at all. And she said, Dawn has done a lot more. A lot more. And I was like, oh my God. And I mean, after that, I tried to play small. I remember kind of shrinking down like, oh, that doesn't feel good. But a lot of the world does not know who the Tonys are. They may not know who Tribe Called Quest is, but they know who En Vogue is. We were much bigger. And so that's what she was trying to tell him. She wasn't trying to put him down. She was just telling him the truth. Dawn has done a lot more. When we got to Germany, maybe 3 days later or so, all of Germany wanted to talk to Ali. Only Ali. It was a hip hop extravaganza. Like, I was like, oh my God, we got to go to lunch then. We're going to let him do his interviews by himself, because they loved hip hop there. It was a hip hop culture. And Ali was like, oh my God. He said, you guys know more about Tribe Called Quest than I do. I have to do my research. That's how much they want to talk to him. And I was like, see, Raphael, they don't want to talk to me and you. And I'm not upset about that. Like, this is Ali's thing. Let him have his moment. Why be jealous of him? Because they don't want to talk to us. It was childish. It was very childish. And I also, when we got to Paris, I brought an article from Gwen Stefani and No Doubt, and she was talking about the fact that the guys in her group, because it was a band that started out as a garage band together, garage, as you guys say, a garage band. She was saying that the guys were jealous of her, and they didn't understand why she got all the limelight at first. And she was like, first of all, I'm a girl. Anytime there's a girl in a group, the girl always gets more attention. That's one. Second of all, you guys are not going to be on the cover of, you know, Vogue magazine, because girls don't get on the cover of Vogue magazine. I do. So when I get on the cover of Vogue magazine, I bring back more attention and more stardom and more focus on the group. Everybody wins when I win. Yeah. So stop being a little bitch, stop being little bitches, and make sure that let's get this money, let's get paid. And they did. Yeah. And that's what I was trying to tell Raphael. He came to my room in Amsterdam. We were still overseas, but we were in Amsterdam by then. And he said, Dawn, I'm trying to make this work. I said, Raphael, I literally, this was the other thing that I had a problem with, because we were supposed to have our album out by June. Here we are in November. Our album wasn't out. And I was like, Raphael, the bank has been calling me about my house. Wow. I'm going to lose my house. And I was telling him prior to that, you know, I need money. I need a little bit of money. And it wasn't a lot. It was what, $1,500 was my mortgage, $1,500. So, and he told me when I signed to Lucy Pearl, because I turned down a deal with Bob Jameson. Like I said, I had a few deals on the table. Bob Jameson was at RCA, and he flew me to New York, and I had a deal on the table with him, and I turned that down to do Lucy Pearl. So if I had your back, you should have my back, like you said you would, because he told me, I don't have a lot of money to give you up front, but I can figure out how to find what you need if you need it. And I was like, cool. If you just, you know, if that's what if you're telling me that when I'm down on my luck or I need a little bit of money, you're going to figure out how to help me out, then cool, I'll sign with you. And I signed that deal. So now here it is, we're in November, and we were supposed to put out the album in June. The bank is calling, they're knocking on my door, and I need to pay my mortgage. And he was like, well, I don't know what to tell you, every man for himself. But you told me that if I sign with you that you'd have my back, and now you're saying every man for himself? Like, what? He's like, yeah, we'll call the woman at Overbrook who was doing the soundtrack for Love and Basketball. Her name is Pilar, I forgot her last name. He said, call Pilar and let her know that you're going to do the soundtrack by yourself. I was like, Raphael, that is bad business beyond. That's like so unprofessional on every level. Yeah. You don't do that. Like, you just don't do that. If I call Pilar and tell her that I'm going to do the song by myself, she's going to be frantic. First of all, she had it in line for Lucy Pearl to do the song for the soundtrack Love and Basketball. And so here I am calling her. So I called her because he said, call her. And I did. And I said, Pilar, this is Dawn. I'm going to do the soundtrack alone. She's like, huh? What? I don't understand. So wait a minute. So it's not going to be Lucy Pearl? I don't understand what happened. I was like, oh my God. Okay. I can't explain. So I said, don't worry about it. Lucy Pearl's going to do the soundtrack. And I ended up literally losing my house. So as far as everybody's like, oh, we need a reunion, you know, Lucy Pearl. I'm like, I have tried. I really have. I've given it a shot or two. We've had conversations. At one point, we were going to have Raphael, myself, and Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest, because Ali was doing other projects. He didn't want to be a part of it. So he gave us this blessing, and we were going to do that with Q-Tip. And then after a while, it was just me and Q-Tip on the phone and no Raphael. And he said every now and then Raphael gets like this, he disappears. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, we're supposed to be talking about a reunion or getting together to do a new project together as Lucy Pearl, and Raphael just doesn't show up. He doesn't call us. Like, I don't understand. And so I picked up the phone and I called Ali right then. And I was like, Ali, I'm watching these things about you guys on TV. He's like, oh, it's on again? He said, yeah, they came on one time before. We talked a little bit. And he said, Raphael wants you to call him. I was like, every time you tell me Raphael wants me to call him, I give you my number or him to call me, and he never calls. I said, so give him my number, have him call me. And then when we hung up, I was like, no, I lost my house. I lost my house with this man. Are you kidding me? I have nothing to say to Raphael. No. I'm not doing anything with him until he makes amends with me. He has to apologize. That's not a small thing. It's not like I lost a favorite pen that I had, or I left my wallet in his car, or a jacket that I left behind in his car. This is my house, meaning that my equity was affected, meaning that my, oh my God, the money that I put into the house, my equity, like I said, my down payment, I lost all of that. My credit is still affected to this day. My credit is affected. Yeah. So I said, until he makes amends and apologizes to me for that, I don't want to talk to Raphael about anything else. There's nothing we have to discuss. Yeah. So I'm sorry I talked a lot.